The 100% Wild podcast is brought to you by OnX Hunt, the nation's #1 GPS hunting app. Download today in the Google Play and App Store.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast, brought to you by OnX Hunt. The wooing in the background is Matt Drury.
Yeah, baby.
Actually, he's not in the background. He's in the foreground.
I'm in the foreground. I'm right in front of you, Tim. Open your eyes.
And I'm Tim Chelsvik, also in the foreground.
I know you poured some bleach in your eyes the other day. But
I did. I was trying to get some algae off the siding of my house. I was out kind of late at night, and the container that had the bleach in it pressurized on me. And when I went to open it, it just blew a bleach spray in my face.
You had protective eyewear on.
I did, yeah. Somehow it got up and down and in, and immediately I'm like clutching my face.
I'm blind.
Yeah, and it's probably 9 o'clock, so it's dark out. It's just an unwholesome hour of the day to be doing that. And
kind of your fault.
Well, all of it was my fault. And I run back in the house. I'm like dousing my eye. It was. I've recovered though.
That's good. So you can see me.
You look better than you did before.
Oh, okay.
So my
I think it did mess your vision up then.
You got jacked up eyesight.
That bleach really screwed you up.
So we've both been hunting.
Yeah, it's here. Season's here, Missouri, and we're out. You know what though? I mean, it's been in for week, 10 days, somewhere around there. And I hadn't gone but once, and it just was so hot. I mean, there's like, it seems like every September it's getting hotter and hotter, and we're just kind of our strategy, or I should say mine, because yours is different, is waiting on those cold fronts and utilizing my time to the best ability, using DeerCast, making sure it's saying at least good before I go in and just checking those conditions. And because of that, it took about 7-8 days to get a good to go out.
And you guys saw some deer.
It was great. Frankly, it was great. We saw 25 deer. We saw probably 5 or 6 bucks. We were sitting on this biologic radishes food plot, this staging plot, and it is absolutely beautiful. And it's working out just exactly the way it should be. Mm-hmm. It's the 3rd year we've planted it. We've planted it in different food sources every year. Yeah. This year we planted radishes at Mark's
instruction.
Instruction
consult.
Yeah. And it's an early season spot. And that's why he said we probably would have the best luck planting some radishes up there. Yeah. And they're just mauling it. And it's perfect because it's transitioning. They hit that and then they go to the beans. And my farmer planted the beans pretty late this year in the lease because of all the flooding and rain that we had in the spring. So they're super green still.
Good.
And usually this time of year, you're waiting for them to defoliate, and then the food plot's the only food source. But just the way that this terrain is, they hit it regardless. They hit the food plot and then they head to the beans. And we were covered up. We saw a shooter that it was a debacle, typical Matt Drury debacle. Yes. So we're sitting in this muddy bull blind and the windows are shut, and it's probably 78 degrees out temperature outside. And I had all the windows shut and it's airtight, man. And we're starting to fog up, and typically we have Rain-X in the blinds. We have Windex, Rain-X, and paper towels in these blinds because you start fogging up no matter what time of year it is when you shut these windows.
Sure.
And I think we got the wrong Rain-X. We just got the typical Rain-X that you would apply to like the outside of your car windshield.
Yep.
Well, we need the fog version. That's what there's like an anti-fog Rain-X. We didn't have that. So as soon as I applied the Rain-X to the windows, it fogged up worse. And you could not get it off. So, at 5:03, the deer start moving, and I'm shocked they're moving that early.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it'd be 6.
It is pretty early for that time of year.
Yeah, I thought 6:30. The moon's not great. It's still pretty warm, but they were moving great. Obviously, they're bedded close to there. And so anyways, these does came out. They filtered past us. All's good. We didn't get busted. So I crack a front window, just cracked it. And then I cracked the back window, and I had a infield ozone generator that I have kind of jerry rigged on the outside of the blind so I could reach it and then adjust it to move it whichever way the wind's blowing. Well, I was having troubles with it and it wasn't turning on. And so I use this as an opportunity to open the window wider and get my half my body's out this window trying to mess with this. So I peeked my head out, and I should say this would have been on the downwind side. So the wind's blowing this direction. That's why I opened it on this side. So
Okay.
to just kind of pass through. Right. And so I look out and I'm about to, I got my head sticking out the window, and all of a sudden I could see the food plot that's in front of us. I could see the edge of it. All of a sudden I see legs in a rack, and I'm like, fuck. So I hurry up, shut it. And then I shut the front one. Well, hell, we just sprayed a bunch of Rain-X.
Why not?
And I start paying attention, I'm dialed into this deer, and I'm wiping the window, and I look, and then I wipe the window and I look, and sure enough, it's one of my shooters. And
how alert was he at that point?
He, at first, when I first had my head out the window, he was not alert. He was just had his head down eating the radishes.
But for the grace of God, there go you.
Of course, as soon as I realized this, the wind, it was very low wind. I'm talking like 1 mile an hour, like no wind speed. But I think our thermals or something, a little bit of wind speed, a little bit of thermals, had taken that Rain-X smell and pushed it his way. Cause all of a sudden out of nowhere, heads up, he goes forward 10 steps, he goes backwards 10 steps, and then he goes forward and he bounces out of there. I'm like, oh my, this is at 5:30. I mean, we had to have walked past him.
He had to be close.
He was bedded right there at the food source. And you hear Mark and Terry talk about that all the time. Early season like this, it's
right there.
They're right there in the food source. And sure enough, like this is not typical for my property at all.
So like you need to bump the custom setting up a little bit.
Yeah, that's also not typical. But yes, we could bump the DeerCast custom if we wanted. So anyways, the hope was there that he'd come maybe back up later, right before dark or something. And it was a great night. We saw 4 other bucks and young 3-year-olds. And, it was great. It was a great night. And, part of that's because we haven't been going in on bad nights, bad winds, but what I mean? We're trying to hunt wisely,
the property.
Save the property, only go in when we want. It's the right food source for the right time of the year. We got the right forecast. Let's go in.
Yeah.
And it paid off, and it would have paid off if I wasn't a dummy. I kept saying the whole time to Scott, I'm like, I was like, I can't believe I opened the window because it goes against everything, I've ever learned. And I didn't want to open that window, but we were so fogged up after the does moved past.
You had to do something.
Here's an opportunity to get this thing cleared up a little bit.
Yeah.
Never in a million years would I thought shooter 5:30 on the food source. That's stuff that happens in Mark and Terry, not Matt, not your average.
You wonder if deer could talk, what stories they would tell when they see
this idiot. His head was out the blind. Then he sprayed Rain-X. It wigged me out. Yeah, exactly.
You talk about deer food sources. We have kind of a show and tell here set up for this show.
Oh, okay.
I'll tease it.
I can't wait.
So I'm reaching for people that are listening.
Oh.
We have
deer balls.
There's the sweaty deer balls.
So are you going to show the audience? Or
I probably should. So if you're watching,
just hold one up there. He's got 2 of them.
Yeah, one for you, one for me.
They look like little pumpkins.
They do. Yeah. Do you know what these are?
No, I don't.
These are ripe persimmons. Which are a major deer food source.
Big time.
September, October. They also are delicious. Let's both eat one at the end of the show. We'll cap the show off. It'll be 100% wild. Trust me.
Yeah, you're crazy. It'll 2 wild and crazy guys. Yeah. Can't wait.
People have no idea what SNL reference you just dropped unless they're over 40.
We probably have plenty of over 40. Well, maybe not.
Who knows? We know we probably don't have a lot of ladies.
That's a pretty safe bet.
You're stuck with kind of us.
Yeah.
We're talking about guerrilla deer hunting tactics on this particular show. And this kind of listener, Tom, chimed in with a question to us, which we appreciate. And he's talking about how not to get busted in a climber stand. And so we'll get to his.
This is all you. This is your area. You're Mr. Climber, Mr.
90%.
Yeah.
Climb and stand.
Yeah. So I look forward to hear your expertise, Tim. All right. So the question of the day is brought to you by the new look. Let me start that over, Matt. The question of the day is brought to you by the new Lacrosse Navigator series. Over 100 years of expertise culminates in these new lace-up boots that are 100% waterproof and 100% ready to go farther and hunt longer. Lacrosse.
Nice job.
Thank you.
I seem to get busted a lot when hunting out of a climber. Any recommendations? I mean, I am 20 feet up in the air, still seem to get busted, even by deer I'm not moving on.
Well, what's funny about this is I was totally enclosed and got busted.
You're spraying cleaners and waving to deer.
Yeah, I'm basically trying to get busted.
I'm here.
So what do you got here?
Tom is up 20 feet, which is a pretty good height to be up,
especially about what we hunt.
If you're hunting kind of a flat area. If you're hunting on a ridge or on the side of the ridge, you might need to go a little higher. Yeah. So hunting with a climber is, I think a lot of the principles that you would follow in a regular tree stand still apply. You want to try to pick a tree that's about the same diameter or bigger than you are.
Lots of limbs.
Well, the limbs are kind of an interesting piece because you do want limbs, but you want them up at the height where you're going to end up.
Well, sure.
Because
cover, right?
Yeah. I mean, you need kind of a telephone pole style tree to get up the trunk. And so that's why I always carry a small handsaw with me so I can do some trimming as I go up. But you want to make sure that your profile isn't made like you aren't silhouetted on the tree.
Yeah.
The other thing that I do is I'll try to find a tree that has a little bit of lean away from the direction I'm going to put my stand up in.
Lean back.
So I can lean back, and I will stand at least 90% of the time that I'm in the climber.
So in a climber, is it more comfortable to sit or stand, like it kind of easier to sit than stand, or is there
I think it's probably more comfortable to sit, especially on longer stands. But I'd shoot better when I'm standing. So I would prefer to be standing when the time comes.
Yeah.
So I'll stand, but not only am I standing, when I stand, I make sure that I'm leaning up against the tree. I don't want daylight between my back and that tree trunk. And that's because there's a very distinct look to the human form. You know, you have the head, you have the shoulders. Yeah. And when you separate yourself from the tree, if a deer's coming from the side or at a different angle, they can make you.
That's definitely a pet peeve of ours. Like that's one of the first things I remember Dad teaching me when I was a kid. Like, a kid, you don't think any different of it. You're out here, you're all over that stand. But he's like, no, you got to if you're going to stand, stay back against the tree. You don't want to silhouette yourself. And to this day, anytime I have a camera guy with me that's, maybe a little antsy in their pantsy and it's just, it's one thing I always think back to what Dad taught me, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Because they will bust you. And I've transitioned. Like I used to hunt with face paint. I don't hunt with face paint anymore because I've been smarter about how I present myself in the tree.
Yeah.
And I've had deer stop and look right at me with no face paint on and just kind of keep doing their thing.
See, we've always been head net guys. And I know like a lot of guys in the South use the face paint because it's hot, right? And they don't want to have another layer over their face. Or some guys, it's about the hearing, just hearing deer easier.
Or if you have glasses, it tends to push the heat water vapor up.
Yeah. Talking about fogging up. Can't put that Rain-X on your glasses, let me tell you. But it's just one of those things you got to pay attention to, right?
Yep. So those are some kind of basic level stuff.
Yep.
When I go up, I will. So you got to think about the deer, like that's their living room. Even if you're in a climber, if you go up there and you sit, you're going to be a lump. And so that's something new and different. I try to figure out where the deer are going to be coming from because I want that climber to be in line with the way they're going to be looking at the tree. I'd prefer them not to come from the sides because then they might catch that changed profile of the tree trunk.
That makes sense to me. But, if it's similar to just a typical lock on tree stand hunt, typically when you're hanging on a trail, don't you want them coming, if you're north-south, them coming east to west of their broadside when you get the shot? If they're coming right at you, you basically don't have a shot unless they turn left or right.
Yeah. And so a lot of the properties I hunt, I tend to know what direction they ought to be coming from. And so if a trail's, crossing right in front of me, I may angle at like a 45-degree angle. That way I can see them coming. I'm ready. The wind is right.
Yeah.
And I also, you have to think about your shot. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're going to be facing. So I'm a right-handed shooter, and so I want to make sure that my left side is kind of in the place where it's the highest potential shot.
Yeah. Well, and know that if you got to travel, right, if you got to move left to right, you're going to have, if you're a righty, you're going to have way more ability to move to your left.
That's right.
If you're going into the tree, you won't have much room to shoot. So you better have plenty. You better be as far to the right as you can, because you can always go back to the left side.
That's right. And that's the other thing that a tree that leans away from you does. It gives you a little more room on the backside for your draw.
Yeah.
If you're in a tree that you're kind of leaned over and you just don't have a whole lot of room back there. And once you get up in your stand, and once you get like kind of where you want to be, you need to draw just to make sure that you have the right shooting lanes, because it's different than a hang on, because you won't know exactly what the shooting lanes are going to look like.
Yeah.
So so I'll pick a tree and then I'll walk around it, trying not to cut a deer's trail, but I'll walk around it and try and look to see what height do I need to be at, and do I need to cut down any saplings around here or any branches. So I'm cutting lanes while I'm out there, and then I go up to that height. And you can actually, like, once you get up to the level that you want to be at, look around and make sure that you're seeing what you need to see, whether it's the trail or other, land features, so that because it's hard to start changing heights once you're up there, once you're locked in.
I can't imagine.
So yeah, it's a lot to think about, but the more you do it, the more kind of second nature it becomes.
So maybe I need to wait until you're done with each of your points, but what do you do for safety harness when you're using a climber? Is this a lineman's belt and you kind of put it up as you go up?
Yeah. So what I've done is I used to climb a lot in college, and so I would tie harnesses and stuff, and so I bought a piece of webbing, and I'll tie that to the back of my muddy harness, kind of that loop that's attached there
for the carabiner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so I'll tie maybe it's probably 10-foot length of webbing, and then I'll put a climbing carabiner tied off with a water knot on the end of it, and I can, as I go up, I just wrap that around and hitch it to itself. So take the webbing with a carabiner on the end of it, wrap it around the tree once, and then clip it off, and that way I've got a lineman's belt the whole way up.
Why is it 10 feet long?
Well, because it takes a lot of line to create those water knots. And if I get up into a tree, so it doesn't end up being 10 feet long by the time it's all tied up, it's maybe 5 feet long.
Gotcha.
And so that way I've got room to lean out again away from the tree. If it's a smaller tree, I can wrap it around 2 or 3 times if I want to, and that eats up some of the, and so sometimes if I'm dragging a deer out from way back, I'll use it as another way to haul the deer out.
That makes sense.
Yep. So, but really it comes down to, like, don't move, don't profile yourself.
Yep.
Obviously you got to hunt the wind. That doesn't change with a climber, and you'll give yourself some pretty good odds. And one of the things I like about the climber is that the deer don't know you're going to be there. And so they're probably not going to be habituated to look up and to be on their guard. Sure. So it really is kind of guerrilla style deer hunting, because if you don't know exactly where you're going to be, the deer aren't going to know where you're going to be. So so there are some benefits to climbers, and you don't have to worry about theft if you're taking it out every time. Sometimes if I know I'm going to go back up into a tree later in the day and it's a secure area, sometimes I'll leave my climber at the base of the tree. So there's a number of things you can do.
Yeah,
to
sounds like it.
Not get busted. You do also have to be careful about scent with your climber if you're taking it in and out of your garage or your vehicle. Yeah. It's not like a tree stand that's staying up there for the season. So stuff to think about.
How heavy is a climber?
The muddy stalker weighs in around 15 pounds. Most are between 15 and 22 pounds. Yeah. So it's quite a bit. And then you talk about your pack of stuff that you have to keep with you. It's quite a bit of stuff. Yeah, you're you got to be in somewhat decent shape, I'm sure, just so you're kind of nimble enough to get up and down and maneuver around and hold the weight. Yeah, that's right. And you kind of get up you kind of inchworm yourself up the tree. And Scott, our buddy here that runs camera and is the social quarterback, he got his first experience in a climber with me a couple weekends ago. And he's like, that was a killer ab workout. Yeah, I'm sure. Because you're just not used to using those muscles. I wonder if he prefers that or sweating his butt off in a box blind. Probably that's what his next experience was. Poor we Scott. We were sweating, man. We need to kill something so he can. Yeah, well, believe me. That's the goal. Yep. So Tom, thank you for your question. It was a good one. If you want to leave a question for us to answer on the air, go to DeerCast.com/podcast, click send voicemail. and keep it short and pithy. Pithy. Yeah.
Yeah. You also heard us talking about DeerCast Custom there a little bit. It's one of the new features inside DeerCast, which you can get at DeerCast.com. A new desktop version available or the App Store. And, hopefully there's a version out there for everyone. There's still a free version, got plenty of articles and content and videos, fan shares, one day a DeerCast, some weather content. And then you stair step your way up and either $9.99 a year or $19.99 a year. And there's tons of features that get added in, but the season's here and the response has been super, super awesome to watch, man. It's getting better and better and people are loving it so far.
I love the stories we've gotten of people that have recovered their deer thanks to DeerCast track, saying like, I wanted to go in and push this deer.
Yeah.
But I went to track, checked it out and gave it more time and did a successful recovery. So that's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see the kind of the fruits of the labor and all the hard work and effort that this team put in. And
speaking of fruit, let's do the wildlife word real quick. Matt's
mine's got a brown spot.
That's that might be a little bruise, or it could be a seed.
It's leaking.
Wildlife word is photo period.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar?
It does sound familiar. And I did a podcast with Mark Kenyon and Lee Lakoski one time, and I had zero to add because
I'm familiar with the word.
Yeah, I am. I'm this is horrible. And this shows you just how, much I'm still learning, but I have no idea what it is.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because when you're on when you're doing the show, it's not easy to uptake the information and keep the flow of the conversation going.
Yeah.
You're doing two things at one time. So I don't blame you.
ADD kicks in.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. So photo period is the period of each day during which an organism receives illumination. In short, the length of daylight. And we know that drives hormones in deers and it causes things like the rut and antlers to shed velvet.
And that's kind of what we were talking about with Lee, but it was out of my league.
You were just happy to be here.
Mark Kenyon, he knew all about it. That guy's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. You're just like, yes. Yeah, do tell.
Yes.
Huh.
Basically, I was thinking, all right, where can I fit into this conversation?
I'm going to add a joke here in a second. Just watch me.
No, I remember that podcast very vividly because Tiffany and at their time, their son was in the background. I think was their son was in the background, very loud, and
kids don't care.
I couldn't concentrate, and so I felt bad because I kept wondering, thinking like if it was my kid, what I would be,
okay?
How bad I'd be yelling at him at that moment. Of course, Tiffany's a saint, and she was way better about it than I would have been.
It's still kind of distracting.
I would have been like that viral video of that guy who was on like CNN or whatever news channel, and his kid comes in the scene, and then the nanny or the wife or whoever comes in, and she's like falling all over the place. The guy's on national news.
I feel bad because that would be me. Like that would happen to me. I just know you can't fault the guy.
I loved it.
Okay, you want to try this?
Not really, but I will.
Wow.
All right. So this is one way to get somebody to view the thing.
Yeah. So you need to go to YouTube and watch this. Matt and I are both going to try a persimmon. This is Matt's first persimmon ever. So there are multiple seeds within a persimmon. And fun fact.
Oh, so you're trying to choke me.
A little bit. People say that you can tell what kind of winter you're going to have by the shape of the seed in a persimmon.
Okay.
So
did you watch this?
Maybe.
Did you touch it a lot after you washed it?
Nature washed it.
Can't wait.
So here's what I do. Put it in my mouth and you kind of strain out the seeds because the seeds are pretty big, and that's why I brought the bowl so you can spit the seeds into the bowl.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to nibble. I'm going to do what my son and daughter do at dinner every single night.
Take a no thank you bite.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to take a no thank you bite. Okay. And it's going to be, I'm going to sniff it first, which is what my son does. He does this.
I'm going to let you do your thing and then
he sniffs it and he'll do a gross face, which actually smells good. Okay. So I'm going to give you the thank you, but no bite. What was it called?
No thank you bite.
Same thing.
Okay. So for people that are listening, he's taking off a Squidward chunk.
It's not bad.
He's not dying. Oh wait, maybe he is. No, he's not dying. He's going back for a second bite.
I see the seed.
Yeah.
I see another seed.
You're a delicate eater, sir.
dainty.
I wasn't going to say that.
Hey, listen, it's good. It is good. I can see where deer get hooked on them. It's basically their sugar.
You kind of think about all the calories and, when they're eating acorns and stuff, that's not, I mean, this is extremely sweet and this is kind of a treat for them. Hey, going back for a third bite. Eating that like a surgeon.
Why don't you make me a persimmon pie?
You know how much work it is to remove the seeds from the meat?
That's why I asked you to make me a persimmon pie.
Matt here in the studio could do that. Okay, so
it's good.
So you're doing a nice job of eating around the seeds on that.
Yeah.
This is how I eat them.
It's how a man eats
I'm
it.
just going to put my mouth like this and chew through it.
It's not bad.
Separating the seeds.
Yeah. But I'm done with it.
This is great audio for a podcast.
Yeah. People who have, what's that? It's not phobia, but like
to hear people eat?
Yeah. You're
turning us off.
You are. Yeah. You're turning them off.
Tune in next week. We're going
to have a watermelon. Yeah. It's not bad.
And you survived.
I did. It is not bad. I can see where deer would get hooked on those.
And then the next step.
Like if I had to choose between that and Nebraska.
Oh, heck yeah.
No. Or an acorn. There's no.
That's what we're eating on the next show. I brought in a bunch of white acorns.
Look at you. You can eat the rest of mine if you want.
Maybe I will. 1 drink, 2 straws, sir.
All right.
All right, let's shut this thing down, huh?
Please.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks, Tom, for your question. Join us next week. It'll be another
wild and crazy episode.
Don't know what's going to happen.
All right.
See ya.
Safe hunting. Peace out. We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by MOTV, where you can enjoy all of our past episodes of 13 for free during the week of October 7th through October 13th.